Hi guys, I'm here in Oculus Medium. You're looking at me wearing a headset and seeing my screen at the same time, which is totally cool. We get to do that for once. I am trying to stay within the bounds of the camera here. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring in an image and sculpt the character, at least do the initial sculpt, and then we'll do multiple steps from sculpting this initial character, just kind of a head and neck thing, to eventually bringing it into ZBrush or Blender or wherever to do a more highly detailed sculpt, and then we're going to wind up retopologizing it and texturing it, maybe even rigging it and animating it. So we'll see how far we get. We're going to go ahead and bring in an image. Let me remember how to do this here. We're going to bring in an image here like this. We're going to be using Alan Lee's, I believe it's called pronounced the Kilmoulis, and we're going to use that as a that'll be a reference photo for us. I'm trying to I don't know why I can't select him and move him. You know what? I probably have to do it from my image here. Well, that says it's, there we go. We have to move it around while we're in our layer view here, apparently. So we're going to put it somewhere where we can see it. We're going to take our box here, and we're basically going to sculpt, you know, everything you see, the big nose guy, the big ears and everything. If you guys are seeing the red wall of doom showing up here, that's just because I'm sitting pretty close to my limit here, close to my desk. So basically in Oculus Medium, it's a virtual reality software. We're using 2 controllers and a headset to see things, so we can move our head around and, you know, see the stuff as though we're really here. With these tools, you know, you just squeeze and pull and you have these great sound effects. But yeah, see, we can move our head around the object and actually see it as if it's right there in front of us. So we're going to undo that. We're going to change a couple quick settings here. In our scene graph, we're going to, let's see, where are my settings for this? What we're going to wind up doing is, I had some trouble just now looking for my mirror settings. They're right here. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. That way, whatever we sculpt is mirrored across from one side to the other, so you get both sides at the same time. So we're going to sculpt this guy pretty large and loose. We're going to go ahead and start a little bit smaller here, and we're just going to sort of try to mimic what we've got here in our image in a pretty small, quick and dirty way here. The nose kind of comes down. Lots of interesting noises from our software there, and we're going to go ahead and make our ears kind of come up. We're going to go ahead and increase the thickness of the back of the head there a little bit, I think. Go ahead and do something like that, and go ahead and just kind of lay in some material, and then you know, get a basic shape going. We're going to do the same thing with the neck area here, something kind of like this, and we can click and change our tool to cutting, and then back to adding, so that we can continue to add and subtract to this guy. You have to remember, when you're working with a mirror, the more in past your mirror you go, you're going to wind up widening because you're working on the opposite side, if you can see. Okay, so now what we've got this here, we're going to go ahead and make sure he has a little bit of a hump for his back, and we're going to now smooth this by pulling our left trigger and smoothing out our clay or our material. And we can increase the strength of that if we want, which I think we will. Go ahead into our settings here. The strength is all the way up, but we're going to open up the size a little bit, I think, and just really kind of knock some of this down pretty quickly. And we're just going to do a very basic shape layout in here. Do a little bit of sculpting in virtual reality, but then we're going to wind up taking it into other software to really get the sculpture going. So this is just really just more of a layout scenario here, and something like that. So now he's relatively there. Going to add that sort of muscle there. We can now swap our tool out and make it a little bit smaller here, and sort of cut in and cut away some of this bulky material. Like I said, all this can be done in a lot more detail in here if you wish, but I'm not going to really take this too far in Medium, because we want it to be more, like I said, the layout here more than anything. And just adding little bits where I think they need to go, taking away where I think that needs to happen, and we're just sort of manipulating him a little bit here and there to get those nostrils in there, at least the beginnings of them. And we'll open this up in something like probably Blender, just because it's simple and easy and everybody can have access to that, and we will wind up detailing him a lot more in there. So I'm going to thin the ears out toward the back here, so you can work on both sides. You notice I crossed over, and now I'm working on the back side of the opposite ear, just for convenience, but we can turn them all the way around if need be to really kind of get in there and take care of any of this stuff. Just smoothing some of that out that I hadn't done before. And so we've got a decent representation of this guy, I think, at the moment. He's pretty good. Give him a little bit of more of a jaw maybe here. And yeah, that's going all right, I think. A little bit more fill in there, smooth it out. See, it's pretty quick and easy to kind of get him to a point where he's usable. Making sure we're trying to clean up a little bit here and there. I'm going to add a little bit more base there. And it's funny because we call it clay, and the sound effects honestly make it sound like we're using shaving cream. It cracks me up. And yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Sorry if I move my head a lot. It can make some viewers a little uneasy, but I think that's working pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more in the neck here. Now, if you want, you can really get really detailed. It depends on your resolution too. We're set at the moment at the kind of the largest resolution. But you see, you can come in here still and really knock out some of this stuff. You can go much tinier than this, but like I said, you have to really increase your resolution. And in all honesty, because we're recording at the same time, we're using a screen capture software, it kind of knocks the frame rate down, makes it a little difficult in Medium because we are working in literally full 3D. So I'm just going to kind of take care of a little bit of this, smooth that out some, and just to get us at a starting point. And I'm gonna tag Alan Lee in this video because he's actually a Facebook friend of mine, and I'd like him to see the making of his his own character, making of his own character in virtual reality. So we're gonna go ahead and move. Now we're gonna change the size of our tool here, because I really honestly just want to pull the nose out just a little bit there. That looks a little more like it. I think his head isn't tall enough either. I've got mine a little more sleek, so I'm going to go ahead and ramp up the size of that and sort of pull up the head some, and kind of, yeah, make him have a little more of a, what I consider kind of a dopey kind of look. Yeah, that's a little better. I imagine him to be a little wider than that too. So we're going to go ahead and change the tool size again and start pulling out maybe the sides of the head, the nostrils, just a little bit. Just felt a little non-dopey to me, so I think that works. And the eye needs to really be kind of there. Maybe there's a lot of adjusting and stuff that you can do really before you get down to the full sculpt in another package. And you could finish the sculpture out in here if you like, but it just feels like it should be detailed in something else. That's kind of my general go-to, is to use a different package for more work. But I think that's a pretty decent, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little smaller and pull his ears in a little bit. It's a pretty decent likeness for doing this in medium. I think that's a good start. So what we're going to wind up doing here is exporting this out. Just trying to smooth these down a little bit more. This little nicer shapes. But that's pretty much it. We're going to take this into possibly ZBrush. I keep deciding back and forth, but possibly just do it in Blender. Either way works for me. Okay, that's good. And I think I will eventually add a mouth on him. He doesn't really have one in the photo, but yeah. So basically all we have to do now is go to our file. We're going to go ahead and save it first, and then we're going to export it. So we're going to call this, get this nice little thing here, we'll clear it, and we'll call this the name that he used, and we will go ahead and enter, and that will save that as the model file, and we have this nice little thing that comes up to let us know we're saving. And then now we're going to go ahead and the same way export this model out. We're going to go raw, as many triangles, 100% as we can. We don't need textures, and we're going to do this as, let's do it as an FBX, and we're going to export this, and we're going to put this, let's just stick it on the desktop for now. Go ahead and click there. We'll say desktop, and we will export it. And this will take some time, but or not. Hey, cool, that was pretty fast. Made me feel like we didn't even do anything. So next we're going to come back. We're going to be working in, let's say Blender, and we're going to start sculpting this guy out and see how we do. All right, talk to you guys soon.